Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina to talk to you a little bit about the new moon versus the full moon. A lot of people ask, what's the best moon phase to go fishing? And I always try to temper that question because you got to remember, moon phase is just one of so many variables that go into our offshore and nearshore fishing, and even inshore fishing. So you really got to take it with a grain of salt, right? A lot of people like to plan out their trips for the year, so they get real wrapped up in, well, I got to book this time frame because this is the newer full moon and this is going to be the best time to go fishing. But then fast forward to that opportunity to go fishing that you've planned around and it's really overcast. That can totally shred the effects of that full moon or new moon, and it can really dampen its effect. Also, you have water clarity. If it's really stirred up behind a cold front, then the full moon isn't going to matter as much, right? So there's a lot of other variables that can affect the efficacy of a new moon or full moon effect on fishing. But for the most part, generally, around a new or full moon, you're gonna see bigger tides, bigger current, more water movement, more bait movement, and thus more actively feeding fish. Especially offshore, we see a pretty big effect from the new and full moon because a lot of times different baits will get more active, more up in the water column, and we generally see more pelagic action as well. As far as our bottom fishing is concerned, on a full moon, generally leading up to a full moon, you'll have a really active bite of fish. Even in the daytime, the fish are biting more, they're more active, you have more lunar major and minor opportunities, and generally a more active bite. Once you get close to that full moon, a lot of times daytime bite can be a little bit slower, especially in that midsummer doldrums. You got a big full moon, those fish have been feeding all night, daytime's real hot, it's really still out there. It can be a little tougher in the daytime around those full moons. A day or two before, a day or two behind it, that whole time frame, 3 or 4 days, sometimes that day bite can be affected. But the nighttime bite on a full moon is generally much better. So we try to do those 12-hour night snappers, those 44-hour full moons, those specialty trips around that full moon and take advantage of more night fishing time when generally the night fishing bite is better because we're closer to that full moon. However, if it's overcast, if the water's cloudy, then it can totally affect whether or not you're gonna get that good full moon bite at night. For example, if you have a really strong full moon, but you have a really cloudy night, that next day might be a really good bite of fish because they couldn't feed at night, but then during the day they got more light, it's a little less cloudy, a little less overcast. So take that with a grain of salt. Also, new moon. New moon generally means a better daytime bite, the reverse of that full moon effect. Because new moon means there's no moonlight at night for these fish to feed and they're not moving around as much. They're worried about the predators, all those sharks we have out there in the Gulf. So they're generally going to be more active during the day. So a new moon, better daytime bite, full moon, better nighttime bite. But you got to remember there's so many other variables that get into it. So don't get super tied up to the moon phase and get too wrapped around the axle planning your trips in advance. A lot of people are here, I'll hear, hey, I'm not going to go fishing because the moon phase isn't right. That's silly because there's so many other things that go into it. It's not a science, it's fishing. A lot like gambling. You can't hit the jackpot unless you're in that hand, right? So you gotta have your bait on the bottom to get a chance to catch that fish. So get out there and go fishing, and don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Every Sunday night we do our live stream show, Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard. So if you want to learn more about this kind of thing, if you want a chance to ask your questions live during the show or a chance to win $1,500 in free trips, join us every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. for our live stream show.